You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your Security Plus certification journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. DNS filtering is a foundational defense mechanism that operates by blocking access to malicious domains, applying categorization rules, and enforcing response policies at the domain resolution stage. When the user attempts to access a website, the DNS resolver determines whether to allow, block, or redirect that request. Filtering can stop connections to known phishing sites, malware distribution servers, or command and control domains before any data is exchanged. Categorization also allows administrators to enforce acceptable use, such as blocking access to gambling or adult content domains. Hardened organizations treat DNS filtering as both a security and policy tool, reducing risks while aligning internet use with organizational standards. Understanding the difference between recursive resolvers and authoritative servers clarifies filtering strategies. Recursive resolvers, typically managed by ISPs or enterprises, handle queries on behalf of users by contacting authoritative servers to resolve names. Because recursive resolvers are the point where users' queries are first processed, they are the ideal place to apply filtering and security policies. Authoritative servers, by contrast, provide definitive answers for specific zones but generally do not enforce user policies. Hardened organizations control recursive resolvers within their environments, integrating them with filtering technologies to ensure every query is evaluated for safety and policy compliance. DNS-based indicators of compromise provide valuable detection signals. Attackers often use domain generation algorithms, DGAs, to create rapidly changing domains, which appear as unusual or randomized lookup patterns. Fast flux hosting techniques, where a domain resolves to many IPs over short periods, may indicate botnet infrastructure. Unusual query volumes, such as a host making thousands of DNS requests in rapid succession, often signal malware or tunneling activity. Hardened organizations monitor these patterns actively, treating DNS telemetry not just as an access control mechanism, but also as a high-value detection layer that surfaces covert attacker behaviors. Recursive resolver hardening strengthens this critical service. Rate limits prevent abuse by restricting how many queries a client can make in a given time. Response policies enforce rules for blocked domains, returning customized responses such as NXDOMAIN or redirecting to a safe sinkhole. Cache control prevents poisoning by ensuring that cached entries are validated and expire appropriately. Hardened organizations configure resolvers with strict policies, ensuring they act as resilient and trustworthy intermediaries rather than exploitable weak points in the DNS infrastructure. Secure DNS transport enhances privacy and integrity during resolution. DNS over TLS and DNS over HTTPS DOH encrypt queries, preventing eavesdroppers from observing or tampering with domain lookups. While these protocols improve confidentiality, they also complicate enterprise monitoring and policy enforcement. Hardened organizations balance these trade-offs by adopting encrypted DNS internally with controlled resolvers while using policies and visibility tools to prevent users from bypassing enterprise filtering through external DOH services. This ensures both privacy and organizational control coexist in a balanced deployment. Sinkholing provides a practical method for handling queries to high-risk domains. Instead of simply blocking requests, resolvers can redirect traffic to controlled sinkhole servers. These servers respond harmlessly while logging attempts, providing visibility into which hosts are attempting to connect to malicious infrastructure. This approach both prevents harm and generates intelligence about compromised assets. Hardened organizations use sinkholing strategically, combining it with monitoring and remediation workflows to quickly identify and contain affected systems. Inbound email filtering provides another protective layer, examining messages before they reach users. Reputation services block known malicious senders, while content scanning analyzes subject lines, body text, and embedded links for suspicious patterns. Attachments undergo detonation in sandbox environments, where they are executed safely to detect hidden malware. Hardened organizations configure inbound filtering with layered controls, ensuring that malicious messages are stopped at multiple checkpoints before users are ever exposed. Outbound email controls prevent data loss and abuse. Filters ensure sensitive data such as personal identifiers, payment details, or intellectual property cannot be exfiltrated through email channels. Outbound SPF and DKIM enforcement ensure the organization's mail cannot be spoofed by unauthorized sources. Monitoring outbound mail also prevents compromised accounts from being used in phishing campaigns. Hardened organizations treat outbound filtering as equally important to inbound protections, recognizing that compromised insiders can cause as much harm as external adversaries. Logging and alerting provide the visibility necessary to detect anomalies in both DNS and email traffic. DNS anomalies might include sudden surges of queries to suspicious domains, while email irregularities could involve spikes in outbound mail or authentication failures. Alerting ensures these deviations surface quickly to defenders. Hardened organizations integrate logs from DNS and email systems into CIEMs, correlating them with other signals to provide richer context and faster detection. Centralized policy management strengthens defenses by correlating DNS and email signals. Integration with cloud access security brokers, CASBs, and web gateways allows unified enforcement across multiple channels. For example, if a phishing campaign is detected via email, DNS filters can be updated to block links in that campaign across the organization. Hardened organizations adopt this centralized approach to reduce silos, ensuring signals from one vector inform protections in another. A practical operational check ties DNS and email hardening together. Administrators should confirm that DMARC is configured with reporting enabled. SPF includes only legitimate mail senders, and aggregate DMARC reports are actively monitored for anomalous sources. This ensures that attackers cannot easily spoof organizational domains and that abuse is quickly detected. Hardened organizations institutionalize such checks, validating not only that policies exist, but that they are actively monitored and enforced as part of daily operations. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Phishing detection requires multiple complementary layers. URL inspection checks links within emails against reputation databases and sandbox results. Domain age checks provide another signal, since many malicious campaigns rely on newly registered domains. Recipient context analysis goes further, flagging messages that are unusual for a specific user. For example, finance staff receiving links to developer repositories. Combining these signals strengthens confidence, reducing both false negatives and false positives. Hardened organizations design phishing detection as a layered system, catching attacks early while minimizing disruption to legitimate communication. Attachment handling policies play a critical role in preventing malware delivery. Unknown or suspicious files should be detonated in sandboxes before being released to recipients, allowing detection of hidden payloads. File type blocking policies can restrict dangerous formats outright, such as executables or script files. Delayed delivery for attachments gives analysis systems time to evaluate them before users open them. Hardened organizations adopt a mix of these controls, balancing safety with usability. This approach ensures attachments remain a viable business tool while minimizing the risk of them being weaponized. Quarantine workflows ensure that flagged messages are isolated safely until their risk is determined. Quarantines prevent users from accidentally interacting with suspicious content while still allowing administrators to review and release legitimate mail. Safe release procedures, including administrator approval or additional sandbox analysis, provide structured pathways for handling edge cases. Hardened organizations communicate quarantine policies clearly to users, ensuring they understand how to access legitimate messages while trusting that protections remain in place for dangerous ones. Aggressive filtering must always be balanced with user experience. Overly strict policies risk blocking legitimate business communication, frustrating users, and encouraging risky workarounds. A staged enforcement model mitigates this tension. Policies can start in monitoring mode, providing visibility into what would have been blocked, before moving into enforcement once confidence grows. Hardened organizations use this phased approach, ensuring new controls are tuned effectively before full deployment. This minimizes disruption while still strengthening protection over time. DNS monitoring also provides visibility into data exfiltration attempts. Attackers sometimes use DNS queries to smuggle data out of environments, encoding information in subdomain requests to attacker-controlled servers. Anomalous tunneling behavior, such as high volumes of unusual or long DNS queries, is a strong indicator of compromise. Hardened organizations configure DNS monitoring to flag these patterns, adding detection of covert exfiltration to the filtering capabilities already in place. This transforms DNS from a simple resolution service into a valuable security signal. DMARC reports provide critical intelligence for detecting spoofed campaigns. Aggregate reports summarize how messages claiming to come from an organization's domain were handled by recipients, while forensic reports provide detailed samples of failures. Analyzing these reports surfaces attempts by attackers to spoof domains in phishing or business email compromise campaigns. Hardened organizations review DMARC data regularly, correlating it with user-reported phishing attempts. This proactive use of DMARC ensures domain abuse is identified and addressed quickly, strengthening trust in organizational communications. Email and endpoint detections should not operate in silos. When a user clicks a suspicious link in an email, endpoint monitoring should track what happens next, whether a process spawns, files are dropped, or network connections are initiated. Correlating pre-click and post-click behavior creates high-confidence detections, tying user actions directly to potential compromise. Hardened organizations integrate email and endpoint telemetry, ensuring alerts are enriched across systems and investigations capture the full chain of events. This improves both accuracy and response speed. Training and simulated phishing complement technical controls by strengthening user awareness. Even with advanced filtering, some malicious emails slip through. Simulated phishing campaigns test user readiness, reinforce safe behaviors, and provide metrics on susceptibility. Training should be closely tied to email controls so users understand why certain content is blocked, what warnings mean, and how to report suspicious messages. Hardened organizations treat users as active participants in defense, combining technology with education to reduce phishing success rates dramatically. Allow lists and deny lists must be reviewed periodically to prevent them from becoming stale. Over time, exceptions accumulate, often outliving the business cases that justified them. Old entries can weaken protections or create blind spots. Automated cleanup processes and scheduled reviews ensure lists remain relevant, precise, and minimal. Hardened organizations enforce this hygiene, treating list management as a governance requirement rather than an optional maintenance task. This keeps filtering systems sharp and credible. Mail flow changes and DNS policy rollouts must always be tested in controlled pilots before enterprise-wide enforcement. Sudden policy shifts can disrupt business-critical communications or legitimate traffic flows. Pilots validate both technical functionality and user experience, allowing tuning before full rollout. Hardened organizations build testing into every change, using staged rollouts to minimize risk. This deliberate approach ensures that security improvements do not come at the expense of productivity. Ultimately, DNS and email controls are most effective when applied together. DNS filtering blocks access to malicious domains even if users click through, while email authentication protocols validate senders and prevent spoofing. Content inspection adds another line of defense, while correlation between DNS and email signals increases confidence in detections. Hardened organizations deploy these controls as complementary layers, recognizing that no single measure suffices. When orchestrated together, they dramatically reduce exposure to phishing, malware, and data exfiltration while maintaining trust in organizational communications. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.